Mesechta Psachim, Perik Beis, Mishnah Gimel. Our Mishnah starts off by telling us, Nachri shehilva es Yisrael al chemtzoi. If a guy lends money to a Yid, and he lends money on the collateral of the chometz that belongs to the Yid. In other words, the Yid says to him, if I fail to pay this loan, if I default on this loan, then my chometz should belong to you, and should belong to you lemafreya, right from the beginning of the loan. Says the Mishnah, Acha ha-Pesach muter b'hano. If the Yid taka defaults on the loan and he doesn't pay back, then that chometz is muter b'hano after Pesach. Why? Because it turns out that the chometz always belonged to the guy all the way through Pesach. The Gemara in Psachim is masbeh here that for this to work there must be two specific conditions. Number one, it must be that in the shtar halva, in the loan document, it was stated specifically that if the Yid defaults, then the chometz belongs to the guy lemafreya. It must say that it's lemafreya, meaning that it belonged to the guy retroactively, right from the beginning of the halva. The second condition is that the chometz must be kept in the reshus of the guy. In that way, loy have a mechusa gevaina. There is no lacking of somebody claiming it. There's nothing the guy has to do in order for it to be kind to him. It's already in his reshus. He doesn't have to go and make any kinyan on it. It always belonged to the guy right from the moment the halva was made, as soon as the Yid defaults. We need to also just understand here what type of halva we're talking about. Are we talking about the type of halva that became due before Pesach and he defaulted already before Pesach? Or are we talking a bigger chiddush where he defaults after Pesach? And there is a machlokas Rambam and Ravid on this point. Rambam says we're only talking about a case where the halva was due before Pesach and he defaulted before Pesach. Under those circumstances we say it already belonged to the guy before Yontov and it's muter b'hano after Yontov. The Ravid says a bigger chiddush and he says no, we're even talking about a case where the halva was due after Yontov and the default occurred after Yontov. Nevertheless, since it now turns out lemafreya that it always belonged to the guy all the way through Yontov, that chometz is muter b'hano. The Mechaber Paskins in Shulchan Aruch, interestingly, in Siman Tov Mem Aleph Sif Aleph, and he says, Eino Yehudi shehilva liyisrael al chemtzai. If a guy lends money to a Yid on the basis of the collateral of his chometz, and he says later on, v'higia hazman v'loi pore, the time comes and the Yid does not pay back the loan, muter afilu lo higia hazman shekova ad acha ha-Pesach. It's muter even if the default took place after Yontov. So we see Mechaber Paskins clearly like the Ravid, which is a big chiddush. Okay, so the Mishnah carries on, and the Mishnah tells us that in the opposite case, v'Yisrael shehilva es hanochri, if the Yid lends money to a goy al chemtzoi on the chometz of the goy, acha ha-Pesach osa b'hano. Then if the goy defaults on the loan, then after Pesach, that chometz will be osa b'hano, because it will turn out retroactively that it belonged to the Yid all the way through Pesach. Chometz shenofla olav mapoilis. In a case where a ruin fell on somebody's chometz. So somebody was eating a picnic of his sandwiches right next to a ruin, and he hears that the ruin is cracking, and he runs away, and the whole ruin falls down on top of his sandwiches. Harehu kumavoya, that chometz is considered like it's destroyed. You no longer have to go and dig out the rubble in order to get to your chometz before Yontov. You can leave it there, you can assume it's buried, it's gone, it's destroyed. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel says, Kol she'ein hakelev yochoi lechapes acharav. Reb Shimon ben Gamliel, Tosfos Yontov says, is not arguing with the Tanna Kama. He's coming to explain the Tanna Kama, and he says that where do we say that a ruin falling onto your chometz has the effect of destroying your chometz? That is when it's buried deep enough under the rubble that a dog would not be able to search out for it. Bartanu explains that is a depth of shloisha tefachim. And a tefach is approximately 4 inches, so shloisha tefachim would be about 1 foot, 12 inches. That type of depth, that means it's considered to be completely destroyed. V'ad kan, Mishnah Gimel.